Okay, I want to have a nuanced conversation today. I know, the internet doesn't love that, but there are a million videos on the power of words and their relationship to manifestation and the relationship that that has to your life. But today, I want to talk about not just the power of phrases and certain words and, kind of, is that positive or negative? I want to talk about the richness of our language, because I am someone who loves, movies in different time periods, right? The costumes, the language, and I love it if there is a narrator, this kind of literary voice making meaning and reflection. Of course, if it's a good narrator with a good voice, I will say. And I've noticed that the reason I love that is because you suddenly are seeing through the depth of that language. You're experiencing the story through that, and there's also something inherently calming. I was also watching a documentary, and there was, at some point in the documentary, about the Russian czars while I'm at the gym. I know, very niche, but I noticed that they were talking about a letter written, and just when they were describing the letter, reading it, it was the language used in the early 1900s that really baffled me. The descriptions, the adoration, all of these things that I can't even imagine someone describing now anyone that they loved or cared about like that. And I don't mean because we don't still have love or caring, but we don't really have a language that supports that kind of narrative. And I had this curiosity and this hunch that as we write and describe things in a certain way, we begin to experience them even more so in this way, because life is making stories and meaning. And if we are manifesting with our words and we're creating, then the deeper and the more potent and the more beautiful our language is as we describe it in our mind and in our words and in our conversations, then the deeper and the more potent and the more beautiful our lives are going to become. Now, I want you to take for a moment that your life is a script in a movie or a play or a book, and you need to find the tone and the style of words that suit your storyline, that suit the way you want to feel. And now you don't have to commit to one, because you can have lots of stories in your life. That's the beautiful thing. But we want to make sure that we're not selling ourselves so short by minimizing our language to match the world around us. And now this might sound like I'm trying to encourage you to write a really good 9th grade essay, and maybe I am, but not, right? This is about experiencing your life more fully by making even the words you use to manifest more interesting, more vibrant. Now, this is about creating a feeling. So words alone won't do it, but words have emotions, they have feeling, they have depth. And so we have to pay attention to the things we say, not in fear, but because we get to be intentional. And now this may sound like a lot of work, but the thing is, do you want your autopilot to be the way we currently speak in the world that is dominated by memes and text messages? And it's fine if you do, but if you feel like you don't have the same connection, or you're not valued in your friendships, or you're not feeling a romantic connection from your partner, well, some of it is because we don't even take the time to speak with any real purpose or meaning. We've shortened every single word, and that's great in a text message, but that doesn't mean the same thing as someone who took the time to write you a letter about the depth of their feeling. And now that would be shocking to someone, so I'm not recommending that you write an 18th century love letter to someone you just met, or do, see how it goes. But I do recommend that you start to see your life with more description and feel into the power of the deeper narrative and feel into the way you want to see the world. So go on a walk and walk around and describe the world in your mind, but describe it in a way that pleases you. Not just, oh, it's sunny today, I'm lucky that it's sunny today. You could say the sun is golden and shining upon me, as though I'm the only person that it showed up for. Even though I know that's not true, its love is immense and immeasurable, like the divine love that's always in me. That's different than it's sunny today and I'm grateful, right? I didn't know that was coming out, but here, we're having fun. We're having fun on our poetic, metaphorical walk. And it's not that you need to walk around in a constant narrative, but to make meaning of your life, we tell stories. You don't have to be a writer to tell them, but we're always telling them in our mind, and you could just make them more interesting, because if you are manifesting from them, do you not want an interesting life? Now be careful with interesting, because you may go for dramatic, and I have had a dramatic inner narrative, and I had dramatic experiences to match, mostly filtered through that inner narrative. They probably weren't nearly as dramatic, right? Because that's the thing, is that you're also changing the lens at which you see things through. The script changes everything, right? The words suddenly, if you took an animation and you change what the characters are saying, it changes it. It changes it, even though, their expressions on their faces, all of these things, it would come to mean something very different. And now is the time to write the story of your life. And not, I don't mean a book, but that's cool too. But I mean to really decide how you want to feel, because we are inundated with a lot right now. And that may feel like, oh, it's not the time, we're just getting through. I don't mean it's the time to go build your Fortune 500 billion-dollar business that's going to save the planet. I mean, it's the time to say, how do I want to live? Because maybe the open door and the perfect opportunity and moment for that to just happen easily is never going to come. Or it's now, right? Because maybe it's just when I decide that I'm ready to start paying attention to how I feel, how I think, and the depth of the language I use to describe my life and myself, right? I love myself. That's good, but does that feel like anything to you? It doesn't feel like all that much to me. But if I tune into the feeling of love, I can feel that. And if I was using more words, I'd have to find something that meant something to me. So look for words that have meaning to describe your life and to create your manifestations. And it doesn't need to be a poem, and it doesn't need to be long, but start to realize that your whole language in your mind and out of it is shaping your reality, the way you experience it and what you're manifesting. And more than just the proper affirmations, start to write a beautiful and meaningful story. I'm Avery. I am an intuitive, I'm a spiritual guide, and I help people to connect to their deeper truth, their deeper inner self, and express that through beauty and love in their life. And I do readings and mentorships, and all of these things show up in some way. But if you want a beautiful world, then speak one into being. If you need help with that, feel free to reach out. Let me know what you think.